I'm Chronix from the most extreme wrestling, and this is your Money in the Bank 2013 review. Now, we gotta start off with the Money in the Bank kickoff, the pre-show that they did for this little show here. And, before I get to the Shield match and everything, I gotta talk about how highly offended I was of the little team that they had talking about this show. You had the Big Show, I think Justin Roberts, and Vicky Guerrero, Kofi Kingston. And this is what really offended me about the thing. You got Vicky Guerrero and the Big Show completely out of character, just like, yeah, well, I believe that this match right here is going to be a big match. It is really going to cement the idea that... And I'm just like, are you freaking serious? Like, yes, the Big Show is a bad guy. Maybe people have forgotten about that, right? But Vicky Guerrero just got fired from her GM position, her interim GM position. And on SmackDown, she snuck into the crowd. She had to buy a ticket because she's not really employed. Wasn't that the storyline on SmackDown? But we get to the pay-per-view just 2 days later, and not only is she's not even in the crowd. She's a part of the company. Not only is she a part of the company, she's like announcing, like segments and talking about segments. Now, it made no freaking sense. She was just as calm as she could possibly be, which is completely out of character, and she's like all up in the production, which doesn't even make sense. I get that Kofi Kingston is standing there being like, well, this match is really important, but Vicky Guerrero, that's so stupid. And I was over at Mocha Bane's house, and he pointed out the fact that, well, in football and UFC and other places, they do this. And they kind of are out of character a little bit, I guess. They're much more professional, at least. And they're talking about, segments and stuff that, it's going to happen later in the night. And I was like, yeah, but this is the WWE. And if you want to legitimize WWE, I guess you want to... That doesn't make sense to me. If you want to legitimize the character of Vicky Guerrero, the last thing you're going to do is have her out of character. And you can say, well, they're just trying to make the pre-show more important. Okay, well, how about someone who's the opposite of Vicky Guerrero? Somebody who's cool-headed. They could have somebody like anybody. They could even have Ric Flair in that position. Other people who are good guys like Kofi Kingston. Vicky Guerrero just made no sense. That's all I'm saying. It makes absolutely no sense to have Vicky Guerrero act cool-headed. Later in the night, they showed her in the pay-per-view, and she started to be in character a little bit because, the situation demanded it. But every time else, she was completely out of it. So she not only was completely out of character, she would come in like 20% into character. And I was just like, this is so dumb. Really. Why not just have CM Punk on there and be like, well, guys, tonight's gonna be a big night. Who's gonna win? I'm really not sure. And have him completely out of character. And you could say, oh, well, Chronix, he's always in character because he's real. He's real. No, come on. We should have Brock Lesnar in there. And Brock Lesnar could be like, oh, I got a suit on, and this is a big night. It's just dumb. Bring The Undertaker in there and just be like, alright guys, yeah, I've never personally won the Money in the Bank, but I could see how that would have furthered my career. Can you see what I'm saying? Just stupid. Just so stupid. Now, talking about stupid, we got the Shield in the pre-show. Now, the Shield, I thought, were supposed to be bigger than the pre-show. I know that's the tag titles and everything, and I know that the champions... It doesn't really bother me that the tag champions are on, or the tag team belts or whatever, are on the pre-show. But the fact that the Shield is on there is just offensive. Because they're supposed to be a big deal, right? Well, not anymore. The Wyatts came during, the main event of Raw, so can we expect them to be on the pre-show? I don't know about you, but that kind of, lowers the credibility just a little bit. The Usos completely deserve to be on there for the tag titles during the pre-show, but the Shield? They're just like, what? But anyways, the Shield wins, I did some predictions on Facebook and Twitter, and I got this one right. I was like, already. I thought that the only reason they built up the Usos at all and gave them a #1 contendership slot is to give the Shield to face somebody. And apparently I was right. It wasn't like they were building the Usos up to become champions or anything. The Shield wins, and I say thumbs up to that. But there was another injustice during this match, and it happened. It occurred several times. It was called a commercial. In the middle of the pre-show, several times, you had commercials. That, my friends, is an injustice. The Shield needs to take care of that. But Philadelphia was still happy to see the Shield, and they loved them. And there was like 18,000 people in that crowd. It was a lot of people, and people were going nuts, and people were liking what they were seeing. So the very first match of the night is none other than the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank, which I scratched my head at because I was like, are you freaking serious? I thought that it would be more important than that. Have the Intercontinental Championship first, maybe? No. Or maybe have a non-title match like the Ryback match, right? No. It kicks it off, which I was confused. Other people seem to think that that was just standard operating procedure. I mean, maybe it is, but it's not a very good one, I didn't think. But anyways, the Money in the Bank, you got Damien Sandow, Wade Barrett, Cody Rhodes, Dean Ambrose, Fandangos, Jack Swagger, and Antonio Cesaro. And they kind of came out, like most of the people kind of came out like almost it was like a tornado tag match, which was kind of weird. Because, you know, they kind of came out together with the little tag team. But that actually played into the match later, so we'll get to that. I picked Dean Ambrose to win. Even though he has the United States Championship, I just thought he would win. I did want other people to win, but I didn't think they had a snowball's chance in WWE's writing rooms of ever winning Money in the Bank. Like Damien Sandow, Cody Rhodes, and others, I was like, you know, I would love them to win and be up in the main events, well, main event type spots with the World Heavyweight title, but I just didn't see that happening, so I kind of went with a more logical approach, I thought anyways. In this match, there was no tables, there wasn't really, I don't think there was any chairs, which is weird. I'm used to seeing Money in the Banks with like 15,000 tables getting broken, but they didn't do that. And I say that's good, because they proved in this match that they don't need all that, they just need the ladders. And they proved it very well because the match was great and they were innovative and they did all their spots successfully, didn't need it, and I thought perhaps that would cause less injuries. But as we would see by the end of the night, that didn't happen at all. But it would make less sense to, hey, well, they still got injured, so let's just add the tables back because that will ensure that nobody needs medical attention. Anyways, we saw Dean Ambrose do like a Shawn Michaels Royal Rumble get back in the ring type thing with a ladder being held by two other guys. That was awesome. He did not accomplish it the first time and he had to redo it. So I assume on the DVD release or whatever they'll maybe show a different camera angle. Maybe they'll leave it in, I don't know. But either way, it was awesome and it was worth a second try. If he would have gave up and said, forget this spot, I would have been sad because I wouldn't have known what they were going to, well, I guess I would have figured out what they were going to do. But anyways, he didn't get to grab the little thing. He was thrown to the outside. And the rest of the match was very good. There was a spot where I noticed that, what's his name? He like disappeared from the match, Damien Sandow. And I was like, I wonder if that's going to play into the match later. Well, you got Cody Rhodes trying to go up there. Cody Rhodes, his own tag team partner from Rhodes Scholars, Damien Sandow, tosses him off. And he falls. And Damien Sandow wins. And I marked out because I, like I said earlier, did not expect WWE to go all the way with him. Well, I guess they haven't yet. But so far, they've got the Money in the Bank on him. And I was like, So he already automatically gets to have a feud, I guess, with Cody Rhodes. That's awesome. And I'm all for that. So the Younglings in their little Money in the Bank match, that was cool. I did not think that Jack Swagger had a snowball's chance. I really didn't think Antonio did. But Wade Barrett was kind of hovering up in the people I thought that might win, but I really was looking at Dean Ambrose, but he still got some excellent spots, and that was cool. Oh, and the Shield helped out, so I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be right, but then I wasn't. So the Shield couldn't get it done in Money in the Bank, so I was very, very, very happy with that. Now, I was all excited. The crowd, they were all going crazy. You know, we're gonna see Rob Van Dam later. We're just so happy and excited. Well, guess what, audience and people at home? It's time to kill your enthusiasm. It's time to fall asleep, because here comes the new GM of Raw. It was what is his name? Brad Maddox. Now, I do like Brad Maddox, but not in this role. No, I really don't. I'm sorry. He comes out and he gives like a bore fest of a promo. He looked a lot like a young, skinny Eric Bischoff, which I didn't understand, but I was intrigued by. I was interested to see what he would say, and it went on and on and on. And yes, I guess it was like a heel thing, and I was like, I didn't want to see him, but it was like I was bored. I wasn't getting mad at what he said. I was definitely getting annoyed, but I came out of the segment completely just like tired, like he had beat me to death with boredom. And he had that little thing with Vicky Guerrero, which I mentioned, from the pre-show and everything, and I don't even remember what he said. It was just boring. Like, he's like tried to sing a song or something. I don't even remember. All right. So now that we completely are bored, and we completely don't care, we have Curtis Axel versus The Miz. Curtis Axel Intercontinental Championship on the line. Now, I predicted that Curtis Axel would win, because if he lost, he just lost like 2 matches in a row, and he was on a winning streak, and he has the belt. So to take the belt off of him at a pay-per-view would just, like the guy's done, right? But Curtis Axel, he wins. The Miz, I think, had a newer jacket on. I don't remember. I thought that it was a new jacket, but Mocha Bane seemed to think it was a jacket he had. So I don't know. I guess it really doesn't matter. But I just noticed that The Miz looking a little better with his little ring attire, his hair, and in this match, he had some spots that I was like, that's The Miz I kind of remember from a while back that I actually cared about. And that kind of shined through a little bit. So I was happy to see that. And he looked, towards the end of the match, his hair started drying out. He started looking like JBL, which was just funny on so many different levels. But Curtis Axel wins. And you had Paul Heyman at ringside helping out Curtis Axel, right? And he gets ejected from the match, which was great because they're in Philadelphia and they're making their boy go home. And I thought that was cool and everything, but Curtis Axel wins. Okay, AJ Lee and Caitlyn. Now, I didn't expect AJ Lee to lose the belt at all because, Caitlyn's gotten beat up, beaten down, made fun of, trashed on, and I don't think it's time for her to win the belt back. Not yet. It was so soon, right? So I just kind of went with AJ. And AJ did win. I thought that this match, the crowd would be more into it. I thought that it would somehow be more epic than it was. It was still good, in my opinion. I liked the match, but I just expected it to be, like, really intense because of their rivalry actually being somewhat interesting compared to a lot of other non-existent Diva storylines or whatever. I like this storyline. I like them going against each other. And I liked the match. AJ won with the submission, so that was cool. And, okay. Now we got Ryback, Chris Jericho. No titles on the line because they don't have any belts. So I guess that's the only one on the match that isn't for something. I guess it's just for Ryback's pride because he hasn't won a match on pay-per-view in like a year. And the last time he won, it was against Tyler Rex? Really? Alright. And Hawkins. So I really don't remember anything about this match. I just remember that Chris Jericho tried to do a bunch of code breakers, and I was not drinking the Jägermeister during the match or during the night at all. I had no alcoholic drinks. It's not why I can't remember. I just don't remember what happened really during the match, but it was Ryback, who finally got a win. So once again, Chris Jericho being the nice guy that he is and just doing the job. Man, that poor man. But Ryback, I think he tried to fake an injury, possibly. I don't want to confuse you. I really don't remember about that. Anyways, now Alberto Del Rio, the World Heavyweight Champion, is going against my boy Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler is wearing an orange shirt. And I don't even know how. But his skin was more orange than the shirt he was wearing. For a while, I mean, I'm watching like on an HD plasma screen, right? And I couldn't tell if he was wearing a shirt or not when he came out, for real. But Dolph Ziggler had a good match. But then AJ came down to help because remember Dolph Ziggler being all upset because his girl wouldn't come and be at ringside. Well, she came and it cost him the match. And Dolph Ziggler loses because of this distraction. And I was like, huh. So it's time for them to break up and everything. And he was very upset. But it's interesting once again that Dolph Ziggler never goes and sees AJ's matches. Not that it would have made any difference. But I'm just saying, it's kind of an interesting little thing there. He's got to have his woman, but he won't go support his woman. What the crap? It's kind of your fault, Dolph. It's kind of your fault. But anyways, I hate to see them break up, but it only makes sense to, right? But, okay. Now we got John Cena, Mark Henry, which I thought this was, like, pretty much telling. You have both title matches before the WWE Championship match. So obviously there's not going to be any cash-ins because we don't even have a Money in the Bank person, right? Okay, so John Cena, the champion, versus Mark Henry. I did not expect Mark Henry to win, but yeah, I just figured John Cena would win because he's John Cena, and why would they put the belt on Mark Henry? You're like, yes, he had an epic fake retirement. He had just an awesome little feud going on there that just appeared out of nowhere, but it really wouldn't make any sense. I mean, you can't just give him the belt just because he was awesome, right? Why would you do that, right? So, I didn't expect John Cena to lose, and he didn't. But this is what's interesting. See, during the match, he kept going for the AA. Oh, I'm not strong enough. Mark Henry's too big. He couldn't do it. So I thought that was going to be the deciding factor in the match. But he actually does hit the AA, and Mark Henry kicks out. And I'm like, uh-oh. But I really didn't think for one solitary second that Mark Henry would win, but still. I was a little excited. But it was the dreaded STF. And yes, Mark Henry tapped out and lost. Did not win the title. He lost via tap out. And it was funny because Crystal was sitting right next to me, and I was like, Crystal, look, he's going to tap out just like your boy, Shawn Michaels, at WrestleMania 23. And she's like, oh, God, please, no, don't let this happen. But buddy, it happened, and it happened just like that. So John Cena, once again. So I guess all of his fans can rejoice. Now we have the WWE Championship Money in the Bank match, and Rob Van Dam's returning, and I picked Daniel Bryan to win, even though, he kept looking way too strong to win, right? Like, he was just, I got the belt, or I got the Money in the Bank, look at me, I'm winning all these matches, I have all this steam, right? But he did not win, unfortunately. Oh, I would have loved that, because who actually won was so much more depressing. But during this match, Rob Van Dam came out first, and I almost punched the television. Why in God's name would he come out first? Because the fans aren't ready. You know what I mean? You haven't built it. Yes, you've had 10,000 video promos, but you think that the guy would come out last. Or maybe the person who's going to replace Kane would come out last or something. But none of that happened. None of that happened. See, Rob Van Dam came out first, no pyro, he just, like the music played and he came out. And people, they were happy, they were excited, but why not build the tension? I just thought that made no sense whatsoever. And poor old Rob Van Dam missed his Rob Van Dam cue when the announcer said his name. And he really, honestly, look at the tape. He looked very distraught at this. And then, like, even afterwards, when other people are coming out, he's, like, talking to the announcer, like, I can't freaking believe I missed that. That is, like, what I do. So, I was like, man. And who's going to replace Kane? See, they talked about this on the television shows, and then they even brought it up at the pay-per-view. Who's going to replace Kane? Well, guess who replaced Kane? Nobody. So why did they build it up? Why did they talk about it? Why did they make all these articles on WWE.com, even bring it up in the pay-per-view, and nobody replaces them, and there's not even a reason why. There's not a reason given. That makes no sense at all, and that just irritated me. People thought that maybe Bray Wyatt would have replaced him. I thought that that was making no sense as well, because he's not an all-star, so he can't replace him. I don't know. Okay, now Rob Van Dam, he was in there with Christian, and if you've seen my videos before, especially the SmackDown ones, you know how I feel about Christian's 5-star frog splash, and I call it the 1.5 star, because it don't look so great compared to the legends of the people who do that move very well, right? So I was hoping and praying that we would see Rob Van Dam himself hit the 5-star frog splash on Christian. And boy, Rob Van Dam started climbing up that ladder. He got on top, and it was shaking like crazy. Not even one person was trying to help him hold that ladder down. He said, I could do it myself. And look, way down there, like 50 feet below, man, it's Christian, and he's laying prone. And I was like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do the 5-star frog splash, and it'll be payback for Christian doing that move just so sadly all these years. So he gets up there, and Rob Van Dam is shaking, and he's a-bumbling, and he starts doing the move, and oh my God, if it wasn't worse than a 1.5-star frog splash. I mean, that dude, he missed the mark. I mean, he hit it, but it was like, whoa! And I know that now that I say that, somebody's going to be like, no, Chronix, that was the best 5-star frog splash in wrestling history. I know it'll happen. But you know what? You put the two YouTube pages together, get your Google Chrome and slide that other page where you can do like this, and you look at those two things, and you will clearly see that had to have been the worst Rob Van Dam 5-star frog splash in wrestling history. I may be wrong. I may be, but I doubt it. Alright, so you got Paul Heyman. He comes down. CM Punk is looking like he's gonna win this match. And I was like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. And here comes Paul Heyman. And he starts beating. He starts obliterating CM Punk. And I start laughing. Because CM Punk is supposed to be tough, right? He's supposed to be strong or something. I mean, people think that he's going to be tough enough to fight Brock Lesnar. So obviously he's got to be a something, right? But no. No. That old manager from WCW, that ECW owner, that guy who just runs his mouth, the Walrus, Paul Heyman, he completely demolishes CM Punk. And I was just like, and see, I don't understand why the super fans of Punk weren't upset at the way it played out. Yes, it made sense. He beat him up, cost him the match. He put him out to pasture. You know what? He killed him. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. But at the same time, Punk got beat by Paul Heyman. And that is just hilarious. Like,